What is up, friends? Welcome to the Watch Your Work Show. Once again, you are stuck with me at the beginning. Mike and Kelsey continue to be on sort of their marriage tour around the world or around New England, wherever they're going. I don't know. I'm trying to keep up on Instagram and it's difficult. We have so much to cover in the WNBA. I keep thinking that like I can have a handle on this at about like 2 p.m. as you know, I'm kind of like starting to piece together things in my brain. And then all of a sudden, something like the AP, the Associated Press, that people are supposed to hold a bar up to in terms of like, how do you cover news and sports and things like this? They come out with end of awards list that for the most part are like pretty normal, what you would consider to be like who's the best of the best in the league. And then their rookie team is just something else. We're gonna have to cover it at some point. We have WNBA Top Shot packs. We have a stress test coming up. We are getting introduced to a new way to stand in line for packs, and we're going to talk about that, what we like about it, what we don't. We have challenges that are still happening. We have burning going on. I have an Azrae Stevens to open. We have another base drop coming this week. And we have a special guest. Of course, this show in the Team Hold streaming universe, we get the best guests. We started out with like the first real like pro sport athlete guest. We have carried on the tradition of having amazing guests, and we're going to do that again today, talking about kind of the in real life things that happened with Top Shot and how cool kind of all that stuff was. But first, we're a family show. We are a show of the community. Like, we got to know who's here. So, Mac Attack, what's up? ATCJ, welcome. Relic, Mac Attack back in. We are gonna get to this. Where was Queen? Queen, where was Queen? We're gonna have to talk about this eventually. But first, like I am so stoked to just have joining us as part of the show someone who's a regular in the WNBA streets, the WNBA Top Shot streets, especially as it comes to like Discord and Twitter and a lot of their own projects. So I am so pleased to welcome on Jen. Jen, hello. Welcome to Watch
Hello.
Her Work.
Yes, excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. Thank you. Thank you for making the time to be here. So for folks who don't know you, who maybe haven't come across your very cool profile picture, like project, like NFT project, tell us about yourself. Like how'd you get involved in the WNBA? Like how'd you get involved
Yeah.
in kind of the Top Shot world?
Yeah. So, for those that don't know me, I am Jen Ford. I currently live in Portland, Oregon. But I grew up on the East Coast. I was born and raised in Connecticut. So I am a diehard UConn Husky fan. And that's really where it all started, my love of women's basketball. I remember watching the 95 team on CPTV, Connecticut Public Television Network, going all the way, that undefeated season. And been to plenty of games ever since. And so, being a girl in middle school and seeing the W start was something that just kind of interested me. And over the years, kind of been in and out of it, just, with life and especially with, unfortunately them playing in the summer. And then the last probably, I don't know, probably 7-8 years, really started getting back into it. And then when I moved out to Portland, knowing that I was only a couple hours from Seattle, really started diving truly back into it. And so I had kind of heard about Top Shot, actually, from Renee Montgomery. She has a podcast called Montgomery and Co., which is amazing in and of itself. And she and her family were talking about NFTs, and they had Roz on there talking about Top Shot, and I was like, I don't really follow the NBA side. I'll keep an eye on it. And in August, when they launched the W, I was like, I'm in. And immediately jumped in, and I guess I've been addicted ever since. But that's really how I got started. That's kind of last year when I really got into just deep diving into NFTs and crypto and all of that stuff, and have really just been trying to be vocal about the W ever
Yeah,
since.
absolutely. That's very cool. Was it just the existence of the W on Top Shot? Was it, let's say, just like a particular moment that was sort of like the lightning bulb? That's not the lightning bulb, the light bulb, sort of
No,
like,
I think it was just the W in and of itself, because the first moment was Asia Wilson, and
yeah.
so to me, just the idea of the W being marketed like that and having that platform, I was like, this is amazing. And so,
Yeah.
I kind of, it's what got me interested and wanted to, I think was easy to learn from there.
Hmm.
So, I think I could kind of tell that obviously that wasn't going to be a one and done moment with the W. So I wanted to see what else they could come up with. But yeah, it was just all of it. I think in general, I think got really, really excited, especially in a way after, being home during the pandemic. I think watching every single game in the, from the bubble, I
Right.
was like, yes, this is going to keep me going. So yeah, that's what kind of led me into the Top Shot was definitely the W.
That's amazing. I- y- it's good to hear your side of it, as someone who was just introduced to like this Top Shot experience kind of through the W. I'd been a lifelong NBA fan, and sort of, I think what folks would probably consider maybe the traditional, or sort of like the large majority route, was folks who were like knew the NBA, came to Top Shot via the NBA, were introduced basically to the W from the existence of W moments, and then it's sort of the trickle in sort of their interests and everything. Like, just the existence of the W just made you all in on that. I think that's a cool story, and I'm glad that type of interest level is there. Like, I'm glad that type of fandom is like here in the community, like collecting Top Shot moments, like doing a lot of this work. Um, Now, when you let's just let me ask to just to say, do you have sort of um what you would consider a grail Top Shot moment? Is there something that you have in your collection that you just adore to no end?
Um, I guess I'd have to be, in a way, I'm gonna be a homer, but Sue Bird's 3-pointer in her bag,
Oh
because I
my
was at the
gosh.
game. I was
Stop
at
it.
the game. I was at the playoff game.
Stop
So
it.
I feel like that is my holy grail moment.
That's
Just
it.
because I was there in action. I mean, they lost, but I was there in action when I saw that play, and then that was in her bag, and I was like, yes,
That
so
is it.
um, I think that's probably my holy grail moment.
Have you rewatched to see if you're like anywhere in the
No, I'm
periphery of
unfortunately behind the camera. So like the
gotcha.
view of the play was my view. So like I was
That's
sitting behind like the reporting bench. That was the camera angle, was how I was watching the game. So no, I
that
wasn't
but
in it. I did look.
that's still pretty great to have like what your actual memory of it would be like, seeing it like as the replay on
Oh
that
yeah.
show. That's
Because
amazing. Yeah.
that's the famous one more year game. So yes,
Yeah,
I was
absolutely.
standing, I
Mhm.
was there at the very end watching her and Taurasi exchange the jerseys and chanting one more year. Cause
Uh-huh.
I mean, when I say I have it next to me, but when I say I'm a Sue Bird fan, like I was at her high school All American game in 1998.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
I have the program. Like this is legit, guys. Like, so I don't know. Hopefully the camera's going the right way, but
Yes, you can absolutely.
so 1998, and there is Sue Bird, and then right below her is Swin Cash. So for all you
Oh
NBA fans,
my
the VP
gosh.
of the Pelicans, who's about to be introduced into the Hall of Fame, right there. Yes,
Oh my
I
gosh.
So this is how long I have been around. So being at that game
Wow.
and like just chanting one more year, it was like there was a lot of me that was like, she can't be done. She can't be done. I mean, even though it's been 20 plus years, I was like, she can't be done.
That's incredible.
So
Of course, Swin Cash, the W25 member,
yeah.
getting going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame like later this fall. I knew that she was friends with Sue Bird. I didn't know that it went like that far
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
So that class was the biggest. The reason why I was in UConn, because again, that was right at their height or starting
Yeah.
to be their height. And that was the number one recruiting class. They had 5 All-Americans on that class
Oh my
because the rest
gosh.
of the class was Asia Jones,
Hmm.
who was coaching for the Mystics. She's right now in the Blazers front office as well,
Hmm.
director of something. Tamika Williams, now Tamika Jeter, she's now coaching the University of Dayton. And
Hmm.
all 4 of them were in the first round draft picks of the 2002 draft. There's a 5th player. Unfortunately, she got hurt. She didn't finish her career at UConn, but she was an All-American. But like that was a big class. And
That's
so the
incredible.
fact that the 4 of them, that was they call one of the best teams with Taurasi their senior year, and Taurasi was a junior. But they were all 4 top. I think there was only 10 picks at the time, but all in the first round draft picks. And all 4 of them had very successful careers. So yeah, but yeah, Swin, I think, and Sue were roommates. I think I've heard that they were roommates all throughout UConn.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, to say that they're besties, I think is an understatement.
It's amazing. And I think one of my favorite things from Swing Cash, and I think it was during the Sue Bird Diana kind of jump ball fiasco,
Oh
where they
yeah.
just like couldn't stop arguing. It's sort of like Swing Cash said, like this was like our every day in practice or
I
something
was
like
at
that.
that
Like
game
there was
too.
just
I was
like,
dying
yep.
laughing. Like I tried to take so many videos and like if that could be a Top Shot moment, that would be
Oh my
something
gosh.
amazing. Because
Yeah.
and the fact that I don't know if you ever went back, but she was mic'd up. So you
Mm.
heard the argument. So they actually were talking about like, no, you grab my arm. No, you grab my arm. And so like they were really going back and forth like legit. And so,
And they're not going to back down. Yeah.
everybody in the crowd was just laughing, getting
Oh,
excited. I mean, to see that
this
happen.
is
But
this is
yeah, I mean,
incredible.
I think even Swin did a really sweet tribute to Sue as well.
Yeah. Yep. And she's I think the love for all of them are just like it's right there on Twitter, and it's just plain as day whenever they're like around each other. I am so far behind on the chat. Breaking news.
Oh yeah.
Neil Diamond Hands, you are with Kelsey and Mike in a bar. Where are they? Like, how are they not use your data, watch us right now? We would love to say hi. Congratulations on the marriage. I hope everything is wedded bliss at this point. So you are getting some great Northwest America women's basketball insight. This is amazing. And yeah, I'm glad y'all are here. Jen, you probably don't know, but Kelsey is our co-host on the show. And
Yes, I
her
did
now
see the
husband,
yay.
Mike, they just got Mike is sort of the person, one of the main heads around the whole Team Hold sort of channel here. And they got married this past weekend in a lovely ceremony in Maine. And they're just trotting around the world, hanging out with all the Team
Oh,
Hold
yeah.
people without us. And I'm going to keep my FOMO on the inside, and we're going to keep breezing on.
Yeah, major congratulations to Kelsey and
There
Mike.
you go. Yeah.
So
And we
awesome.
got more friends that are popping in. Welcome everybody. We glad that you here. Jen, I have you on to talk about it like a specific thing. And I'm so appreciative of this rabbit hole that we went down with just like
I
Swin
know.
and Sue.
Sometimes you just have to. You just have to. But yeah,
Exactly.
speaking of, I guess that's what. Yeah, so Sue. Yeah, I actually got to meet her at the. We hosted a community-led event to have suites at the August 7th game against the Aces, which was Sue Birds, the last regular home season game. They did secure home this week against the Mystics for round
Yeah.
one. but yeah, it really started kind of the idea for it back in January. So part of Discord and the Top Shot, I started getting into collecting the blazers. I mean, I had to go local, right? And
Right.
a bunch of the guys invited me and said, hey, we do like these, we rip packs together at a bar. I'm like, oh, so there's like local fans, this is cool. And that's kind of how Rip Pack City started. So shout out Trevor, shout out Mike. And in January, Trevor's like, let's rent a suite for a Blazers game. And I was like, well, this like, I was at that event, I was like, this is awesome. And so I started talking and to some of the W fans, like, what if we did a suite for a W game? And I said, so we started talking about dates and the schedule came out and I kind of had it circled. And I said, well, what do we do Seattle? Would you guys come to Seattle? And I had like interest immediately. And at the time, Climate Pledge Arena was just finished. It's a beautiful brand new arena.
Yeah.
If you can ever get out there, they did a really good job with the renovations, which is the old Key Arena where the Sonics played, hence the renamed Kraken. NHL are now I guess the main users of it. And each suite only held 20 people. And when I was talking to the store, the store and people are like, I was like, well, I got enough for 20 and I don't know. And this is like February. And she goes, if you don't get your second suite now, you're not going to get it. And I was like, oh man. So I was like, this is if I build it, they will come. And so we did. We got both suites. I had just over 20 people at the time. I was like, it's plenty of time. And during the season was able to reach out to Janie and say, hey, would Dapper be interested? And she's like, yes. And so we got some Dapper people out there and we're able to, fill the 2 suites of 40 people between there's like 6 or 7 Dapper employees and the rest were fans. And I mean, we had people flying from Connecticut. We had people drive down from Vancouver, BC, all across the nation, basically. And again, even some from Canada. So we were well represented with just true W fans. And I was talking to Meg. I said, we're trying to do like a community party. And she goes, well, I got good news, bad news for you. And I said, okay. And she's like, good news is I got a Storm legend that can come. I said, okay. And so what's the bad news? She goes, it's on Saturday. I was like, we'll make it work. We'll make it work. Right, but most people, because they were flying in, they were taking a vacation on Saturday. I had to make some arrangements. But I said, it's a legend. We're going to get up there. And
you're going to make it work.
We're going to make it work. And so we were at Queen Anne Bar, just chilling. And all of a sudden I actually saw her, like my friend went, I was like, I think that's Sue. And someone was like, no. And I was like, yeah, there she was. She walked right around the corner. And I won't lie, I fangirled hard. I lost it.
Fair.
But she was so sweet. She took pictures of everybody, autographed a whole bunch of stuff for everybody who was there. About 20 minutes just talking to everybody and, was very up to what was happening. And Meg, Carrie, and Jeannie were all there and put on an amazing event. So shout out to them for definitely pulling that off. And then, we had an amazing, amazing time at the suite. Just watching that game. I mean, I wish Storm pulled it out, but it was just great to actually meet the people that I've been probably talking to for the last year in the Discord and things like that. So it was a really, really cool event just for us to get together. And, we're hoping that, and then of course, last Friday they did the Minnesota flyaway. That was pure Top Shot for that one. Yep. And so I'm hoping that, I wish there had been more IRLs for the W, but I'm hoping now, especially as they're launching the W captains for the best of set, that more IRL will happen. And, we can pull off getting Subert and Sylvia Fowles on their retirement nights. I feel like we got good chances at some big names next year coming to things. So I'm looking forward to next season.
If you're going to have 2 events throughout the year, like those are the events to have. And I mean, each one just looked just like incredible fun. And I think at least for my end too, it just seemed like these are just a cool group of people just getting together and sharing something super special that they all enjoy. And that's exactly what you hope for. with all of this. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, there was even because it was on Saturday, they opened it up to the community and said, "Hey, if you're in Seattle, come to the event." And there was a father that brought their 2 little kids and they were running late,
oh,
but they perfect timing. They were walking in as she was walking out, and the little girl probably couldn't have been 6 or 7 and was like, "Oh my god, that's Sue Bird, it's Sue Bird." And like just started crying, and Sue stopped and like talked with them, took pictures with
oh,
them. But like to see her reaction at
yeah.
6, 7 years old of freaking out that there was Sue Bird was like, that made it worth it, right? Like
Oh,
that is she's
absolutely.
a fan, and now, she can watch, and the fact that she knew who that was too, I was like, that is amazing. And she was so excited, and she, was showing it off to me. And I was like, that's what it's
Oh,
about, seeing
right.
somebody like that have the opportunity to come and meet her
Yeah.
and her just be so genuine and stop and say hello I think that was really special.
Absolutely. That's I mean, you talk about core memories. That is that is something that kiddo is gonna remember forever. And, everyone involved in that knows that they helped to make that kind of experience happen. And when things are sort of like centered around like the Top Shot collecting experience and just like fans getting together to talk through and hang out, share stories, share these experiences. I mean, it's exactly kind of the outcome that you hope for. And I mean, my God, based on like the things that like the comments we hear about like, just like hanging out on a Top Shot on a daily basis, like this hearing that story just wipes away all the memories of like reading mentions and like the at Janie
Oh yeah,
things that I've
don't, I mean,
seen.
there's
So
definitely times I'm even mad at them myself with like, what did you just do? But somehow I'm still here. So
yeah,
I get it. I mean, especially with something like this, you're still trying to gauge interest, and I'm hoping that to show to very successful community events that they do have that market, and there is
yeah,
true W fans, not just those coming in. And I mean, even I watch in the W Discord of people talking about, man, this was my first season watching the W. And I
mhm,
love it, and I'm invested. And now like they're talking playoff predictions, and I think they're mad about the AP team that came out today, right? And and
right,
all of a sudden, like they know the players' names and they're talking about, especially when the playoff race, all of a sudden people are like, oh, who's going in and who they're rooting for and why. And it was just like to kind of sit back, it was just, yes, like we
yep.
have new fans. So, I hope that it'll bring more to the future to see, just as much that we can bring legends on the W side as well as the men's, and that there is a strong community base.
Yeah,
That there was enough interest, for a community led event like this. And then how many people were, man, I hope I win the links, event. I hope
yep,
like there was all these people talking about it. So,
yeah,
I mean, I hope that there's more, definitely, for sure.
absolutely. And the not to put a bad pun on like a WNBA team, but like the sky's like essentially the limit on this. Like we saw this last weekend, like
Yeah.
uh with the preseason with an NFL preseason game in town, the Las Vegas sold out their like final home game against the Storm.
Yeah.
And they had this huge crowd show up. And the same thing happens in Phoenix on the regular, in their like Footprint Center, which is a huge venue. And we have a lot of just like interest that's building. And I think if you look at sort of like where league trajectories are at, like we're certainly in the great spot with the WNBA, because the growth is going to be astronomical as people are introduced to it. It doesn't take a lot for them to really see like these athletes are amazing. Like it takes like one Kelsey Plum crossover and people are hooked for this game, and
Oh
we've seen it
yeah. I
happen.
mean, the fact that there's at a max 144 spots,
Yeah.
and it's the hardest professional league to get into, because even this year they didn't even have the max of 144 because not every team carried 12 players due to the salary cap.
Hmm.
But they're already talking expansion, and I'm excited to see where the expansion leads, of what cities are gonna. Kathy has said she wants two new teams by 24.
Yep.
I would love to see one in, definitely in the Bay Area. I think that's a very strong case, because you kind of look at college basketball and a lot of the fandoms there, and definitely the Bay Area. They've got a lot of fans, even crossover the NBA. Stanford Cardinal is, a
Yep.
strong fan base in that area too. And then Philly has always been a strong female basketball program. I mean, you got Dawn Staley, Brianna Stewart, like it, just to name two, right? That came out of
Two
Philadelphia.
big ones, two
Basically,
really good
they're
ones.
two
Yeah.
big ones, just
Yeah.
no names. Came out of their programs and their development leagues. And I know there's a lot of interest in Toronto because even Canada's got a very strong Canadian women's basketball team. You talk about with Vanessa Carlton, or not Vanessa, Bridget Carlton. Vanessa Carlton's a singer. Sorry, wrong person. But Lee Edwards. I mean, I can't even think of her other name on the links. I can picture her. Achanwa. There we go. I was like,
yeah.
I was like,
she even has the Maple Leaf
she was
tattoo.
another
Why
name.
didn't
I
that
know.
come to
I can
me?
picture her. They have a very strong Canadian team as well. So I'm looking forward to just where the W is going. I mean, they've already talked about 40 games next season, their biggest season ever in terms of games. And I know they want expansion. And this year, especially, there's been a lot of eyes on the CBA, on the lack of travel, I don't know what else you want to call it, but just the crappy travel situation.
Right.
I mean, let's be real. And, so people are now getting interested in it. And, the light from Brittany Griner, that was also shine out, definitely a big light on the lack of pay, and people are realizing it. And, the stats came out today of what average 820 something viewers for that Storm Aces game on the 7th. I mean, they're watching. And I think I even saw a tweet today. I can't find it, but it was something like, the MLB is only averaging 276,000 viewers or something like that, and W is averaging over 300.
Yep.
And yet the contracts are like not even comparable. And it's like, again, why aren't we on TV? So yeah, I mean, I think that's really the next road, is getting them on TV, getting them more access, and not just social media or Prime Video, but legit ESPN or CBS Sports. And then more teams, because I think people are definitely gonna be watching women's college basketball. All the greats come out of there. They need places to go, and there's not a lot of rookie room. I mean, even this most recent draft class, I mean, how many really made a team? I can think of like Evina Westbrook, who bounced around 3 teams before she finally settled with the Mystics. But that's what happens. So yeah, I think a lot of people are realizing that, and to see their interest in their comments is going, okay, let's do this.
Absolutely.
Let's fight for it.
I love every time we talk about new locations, like all the chat like comes out for it. Like they want sports in their backyard. And
I get that.
I totally get that. And if you want a WNBA team in your city, like whatever, I support you. Like, well, let's get more of them on the map, and let's figure out the travel logistics part as we go along. We talked about I think what you said was sort of the adding team side, what you talked about with just like just how audiences are responding, like that Vegas Storm game that was the highest rated regular season game since like 2008 or something like that. Just a completely absurd number. That's wonderful. As we get to the playoffs, I'm going to bring up the bracket here. I was complaining to Jen kind of pre-show that I could not find a usable one to share. So we're getting what I just found anyway. When you look at kind of what like this playoff layout is like, I mean, I know you have your allegiances on the fandom side. What really strikes you when looking at this playoff bracket?
I think the biggest one to honestly watch is Connecticut Dallas, because Dallas is on a winning streak, and to see them come out, I think they were 5-2 in June, or sorry, not 5-2 in August. They've got momentum on their side, and so they're, while they don't have the size, they've got kind of that scrappiness, I guess you'd call it, with their team. So I think that's definitely one that could be a potential upset, if anything. I do think Phoenix will try to give Vegas a fight, but I see Vegas being a little too much with Phoenix, especially they've already said SDS is out and
Mhm.
Taurasi's out. So,
Yep.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Everybody else has definitely stepped up. DeShields,
Sure.
Sophie, Shea. But I think especially the first two home games, the first two games being in Vegas, I think that home crowd advantage may not knock them out pretty early. And then Chicago Liberty, I think that's another one that could, Liberty are kind of on momentum, and Chicago's kind of been sliding a little bit in the last month or so. But I feel because it's playoff time that Parker will have them ready, and I think Sloot will have them ready, and
Yeah.
that they'll be all in. It might take them a quarter or two maybe to get their footing, but that one might go 3, but I still see Chicago coming on that one. Dallas may pull the upset over Connecticut. That is definitely one I think to watch.
I like that
Um,
pick.
and I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. I mean, yes, I have my allegiance to Seattle, but coming up with Washington, like that is as even of a matchup as you are going to get. I mean, the fact that they are 4 or 5, they match up very well in nearly every player position. Like that's going to come down to the wire every game. Like that may go
Mhm.
3. I mean, just because it's going to be like a, you know, 90 to 88 night 1 and then 85 to 82 night 2, right? Like
Yep.
I'm not expecting very big victory margin on whoever
Right.
pulls out that. So I think that one is definitely one to watch true matchups and to watch I feel like in a way like I just good playoff basketball, right? I
Yeah.
mean everything else is kind of momentum and that grit. But that one I think has the best matchups in terms of
Yep.
positions and um who's got the edge. You just don't know that
Yeah.
night.
And when it's a 3-game series, like it tips so quick.
And especially the way they have the format of it being 2 then 1. So the
Yep.
first 2 home games are in Seattle, so that does lend the advantage
Mhm.
instead of it being every other. So you do have to play, keep that into thought too. So if Dallas, so if you can get it to 3 games or, I don't see any away
Oh, no.
team sweeping
There you go.
it'll go game 3 that they'll win it at home. Like I
Yeah.
don't see any of those if away team wins that they're sweeping at home, sweeping away basically.
Yep. I
Um
100% agree. I think if we could get a second round matchup between a Dallas and Sky, I think that could be just a sneaky good 5-game series. The way that I this is gonna sound mean, and I'm sorry, and I don't want to knock anyone, but the way Dallas has played without Enrique and Gumbawale is exactly the way that Dallas should have been playing for like the last like 3 or 4 years. Like you give Marina Mabry and other like 2-point guards the ball and let them have the ball in their hand, because they know how to facilitate and not take ridiculous, crazy shots all the time. Um, and you really have seen like the talent of Dallas and the tenacity in the last 3 games. Like their matchup with New York was almost fisticuffs at several points, and
I
it
mean, I
was
would say the same thing
exactly
about Phoenix. Ironically
yeah.
enough, without Skylar and without Diana, you're seeing DeShields and Shea and Sophie go off and
Hmm.
them shine as well. So I get that. I mean, you always want your star to be the star and the go-to, but sometimes, yeah, your other players get overshadowed by the star and don't always get that night to shine. And I think that's why, especially, like with Dallas, we always talk about the big 3. They don't have the big 3, right? Like it's
Hmm.
basically, Marique, as they call it.
Yep.
I think now Tierra is coming into her own to get that high-low presence. But when you don't really have that big 3 to spread it out, you're going to rely on your star.
Yep.
And I think that was kind of Dallas's fault until they could really get Tierra going. And now, she's player of, was it the month or the week? I can't even remember. That just came out
She was
today.
player of the month.
Player of
Yeah.
the month, right?
Hmm.
So um, you know, Yeah, it took her a while after coming back from overseas, but that's exactly what Dallas needed, was that third. And yeah, unfortunately, Enrique's not on, but with Alicia Gray, I mean, right now that's their three, and they can spread it out, because now you got to worry about Tiara down inside, and Mabry's more open on the three. So I think it really is coming into play that's what teams need. They need that big three to spread the floor. I mean, that's why I think Vegas is so good, because they've got five. I mean, they don't even have three, they got five, right?
Right.
And the same thing with Chicago, the same thing with Connecticut. I mean, definitely all of those teams that all the top five, I would say, they have that core, at least big three to help them. And I think that's why the Liberty have struggled. Who else, for a while did you have besides Sabrina? And now that Natasha Howard's coming in and Steph Dawson's finding her way, and Shu as well. So that's where the team struggled. I think those are the teams that are struggling. It's to find that third option, to help with the floor spread. So
Yeah.
I think Dallas has found it, and that's why I think they've got the momentum. And then obviously the same thing with Phoenix, because you don't have the two big stars. Same thing. They've had to kind of figure it out themselves, and they're just gritting it out, for sure.
They certainly are grading it out, and it's unfortunate that they're going to run into a buzzsaw like the Aces. But I mean, I couldn't tell the Mercury that's like they continually have the world's largest chip on their shoulder, and it's worked out with them to get through what has been just the most tumultuous and probably awful season to be a part of. And I mean, they deserve every bit of flowers and props for making it to a postseason, because I would say even more talented teams, like at this point, like Minnesota, the Sparks, like they couldn't close out kind of down the stretch when they needed to win games, and Phoenix could, and they deserve to be here. Yeah.
Minnesota, that was a heartbreaker. To start the season off that, it's just not having it together. You could tell it was gonna be a steep hill to climb up. The Sparks, I don't know. For the last couple of years, it's almost like they're trying too hard. I don't know how else to describe it. It's like they're trying to find these pieces, but I think there's too much. They're looking too much for on the court and not enough off the court. Because obviously with Fisher, being canned halfway through the season, Carter in and out this season, sometimes playing, sometimes not playing.
Yeah.
And, the whole Cam Beige situation, like there's something in LA the last two seasons that I feel like it's been only focusing on the court and not off for them to gel, because they've got the talent. They absolutely have had the talent the last two seasons, but then unfortunately their spark goes up in flame. And I know, bad pun, I'm sorry.
It's allowed.
But I think of like the Gumake sisters, and just like they've had the talent and yet they just can't execute. And I think it's really, I just don't see that team gelled or together like the rest of the units, because otherwise I feel like they would have something to go forward and at least make the playoffs. But the last two seasons, it just hasn't happened.
Yeah, it was a strange it was a strange build, just obviously with I like the way you say it. Like you're trying to focus so much like on the like the on-court product without sort of like considering like what the off-court situation was, to just sort of like think that you could bring in like a Kennedy Carter and a Liz Cambage, who are talented and have had sort of just like their issues with teams prior, and just kind of rely on the Agumike sisters to be the culture builders for that, without really like having an encore product that like was built around the Agumike sisters to like be successful. Like Liz has the ball in her hands a lot, and when she has the ball in her hands, it stays in her hands for a long time. And like NECA isn't like the run around the court, kind of like run off screens and like pop to get open kind of things. Like she also needs the ball in her hand too. And it was just a very strange consider, it was just construction for me, for how this is going to work. Hopefully, in the absence of someone like Derek Fisher, who built this team, like isn't around to like sort of like deal with that part of it, they can start new. Like, I think there's only like 2 people under contract for the Sparks going into next season. And
I think
while
so.
Shanae and Neke have said like, we're coming back, like there's no guarantees in that world. So
And
it would
so
be
did
great to see
Christy.
what that
Christy
comes through.
announced today she wants to come back for
Oh, she
23
did?
as well.
Oh my
Yeah, she
gosh.
did.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, LA is like that one team, and I don't think they've got a. I think their first round pick is like number 5. Like they're not in the lottery, at least for the top pick.
They don't
With
have,
all of
their
the,
top pick belongs to
is it
Washington
Elizabeth?
right now.
I think so. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's and then again, how do you rebuild if you don't even have the top draft pick, or a good draft pick? Let's put it that way.
Right.
So, and I think the writing's been on the wall since Parker left. I mean, there
Yeah.
were rumors of her and Fisher. That was part of the reason she wanted out. So, I don't know if you just call it because it's LA, the stars of LA, but Laker issue too, I guess. I'm not sure. It gets to everybody's head, but like that's a franchise that's rooted. Like is one of the staples, is one of the founding, members. And so you want them to succeed. And so yeah, something's got to change with LA front office, behind the scenes, just something. I mean, I hope they bring in a good, strong coach that can build that team unity that they desperately need. Like, I think that's really what's holding them back, or been holding them back.
They need it. So let's move on. We covered playoffs pretty well. And I gave you permission to tear these apart. Oh wait, let's give context first. Okay. So context, since we're at the end of the regular season, we got word from the Associated Press that they released their all WNBA kind of end of season awards. And let's see here. Oh my gosh, where can I find it? This is why I need to have all my tabs prior. I'm just going to keep talking while I talk. Yeah. There we go. We're bringing it up. So
okay.
No, we got it. We're okay. So the Associated Press released their end of season awards for the WNBA, and a lot of what you're going to see is pretty normal, pretty within sort of what we would consider the realm of reasonable award picks. So here we go. We're going to do our cookies. We're going to drop ads. So we see Brianna Stewart earns the AP WNBA Player of the Year. Just so everyone knows, this isn't like what we consider like the real, like the final awards.
Yeah. That's coming later this week. They do it during the playoffs if you've never done this before. So they start announcing it during the playoffs. But I mean, they've talked about Stewie and Asia going back and forth. Who's your pick? Like, if you have not seen Matt Elenick's TikTok about like which one should he vote for, it's the most hilarious TikTok. He's like, you talked about this with Stewie, but look at this with Asia, but then look at this with Stewie. Like, he's like, who do I vote for? It's the most hilarious thing. So, I mean, with AP, I'm kind of not surprised because they're going to go more on stats. And since Stewie did lead the league in points, and it was 6-4, so it's not like it was unanimous or things like that. So, the fact that then Asia at least won Defensive Player of the Year, I think is a nod to her defense and her presence.
Yeah. So Matt's tweet about wishing he could just vote for
inclination, because they don't always watch all the games.
Yeah. And you'll find out that they don't watch all the games here in a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
So, like we said, it voted Asia Defense Player of the Year. Jackie Young was chosen as the most improved player. These are all kind of like consistent consensus picks. Tanisha Wright for the Dream was picked as the AP Coach of the Year. I know that this is consensus, and we can get into this later. I have feelings about someone being named coach of the year when your team didn't make the playoffs. That's the thing we got to get into. Sixth woman of the year, Brianna Jones. Comeback player of the year, Alyssa Thomas. Rookie of the year, Ryan Howard. All rookie team. Howard, Shakira Austin, Rebecca Gardner, Nalissa Smith, and Sam Thomas of the Phoenix Mercury.
That one blows me away. How Queen Egbo did not get rookie team. That one just baffles me. And even if you wanted guard, I would have said Henderson is way better than Thomas. I mean, if you're trying to go guard and not big, honestly, I hadn't heard much from Sam. And I watched a few games of Phoenix. I'm just did not feel at all she had the playing time nor the stats to say that
Sam Thomas is the most singular, nicest human being on the planet.
I don't doubt that. I'm not doubting that.
I know. No. This is just this is not directed towards you. So this is just I feel so bad picking apart the selection for someone who's so this is just an unfair way to do it. They averaged 5 minutes a game through the year and averaged a half a point per game and a third of an assist per game, a quarter of a rebound per game. How are they first team all rookie when, as you said, Queen Egbo exists, Veronica Burton exists, Destiny Henderson exists, even Naz Hillman exists, Rui Machida exists. There are so many people who could have been in this role. What's happening? Lexi Hull had more points throughout the year. I don't understand. I don't understand.
Lexi barely played. I don't know if this is one of, is it a holdover? Is it
more puns?
I don't know. The only thing I can think of is, but I would, again, even Lexi, I was going to say who had more of the presence in college coming in and talk, but I mean, when you think about the NCAA championships, and so I don't know with Sam playing for Arizona if that had anything to do with it. But Lexi was on Stanford, so and then Destiny's on South Carolina. So if you're talking about exposure, it still doesn't even make sense if you're just going based off of college and who came in. So yeah, everybody agreed. I was reading lots of different people's opinions on the all rookie team, and everyone was like, Sam who? And I don't even think people I honestly didn't even remember she was still on the team. I was excited when she made Phoenix, but I was like, she's still playing.
Maybe this is the take. Maybe AP was just that person who was just trying to finish a paper at deadline, and it was just let's find the first rookie we can.
There's no way that. But even if it was alphabetical, I mean, it's Thomas. Her last name is Thomas. It's not even alphabetical to be let me just pick the first rookie. I have no idea where that came from. I mean, there's no way she's going to be on any of the WNBA lists. None.
No.
If she is, I'm just baffled. Because
Sam Thomas, you're going to have a good career in the W. You're going to be fine. This is unfair to you to sort of put you in this kind of lane of ridicule. But I'm sorry, you're not a first team all rookie. And then to pair it with that, to just sort of ease my own rage of reading that list, I fast typed in the Notes app. Shout out Notes app. Just my own end of year awards. I will still stand by that this has to be an MVP Defensive Player of the Year season for Asia Wilson. I think that we just because of just the emergence of Kelsey Plum and Jackie on that team, I think Asia did not get all the credit that she deserves, but her offensive and defensive abilities are astounding, and I am just shocked just every game that we get to watch her at what she does. She had 6 blocks in the Commissioner's Cup game. It was absurd, and she just makes her defensive assignments so easy. I'm going to stand by that. our most improved player is Sabrina Ionescu. Her strides in points and rebounds and efficiency and even things like win shares, things like that. She has made huge strides, even larger than like Jackie or some of the other people that ended up on this list. You see the all rookie, all defensive, all firsts on there. Jen, you have full permission to just like tear this apart as if I put Sam Thomas on an all rookie team. So go for it.
I will say coach of the year. I go for Becky. I mean,
Okay.
to come in and, yes, Vegas is already the top, but she changed the culture and she changed their scheme. I mean, that was not. It's not like she took Bill's team and is where she is today. She took her team and her plays, and this is the result.
Can I just ask one question?
Most improved, I do say Jack.
Does it take a brilliant person to like show up to Vegas and say, guys, it's okay to shoot threes? Like that?
No, but I do think it is also a culture thing. Like when you've been coached for the last few years of not shooting the threes, I mean, I feel it's kind of why Kayla was excited to get out of Vegas and go to Minnesota.
Seriously.
But I do think, but it's not just the shooting of the threes. I feel like their offense was a lot faster and a lot more up tempo and a lot more motion than Bill ever had. So, I mean, and even the defensive stances that they've taken. So it's not just shooting.
Yeah.
The three, but I feel like Becky was able to come in and show, I mean, in a way, really show off. I mean, not that people don't know what Becky is capable of, but like this was truly, I feel like, which is scary. People are going to catch on to her quick now, but I feel like she's the definitely type of coach that can evolve and, move with the game. And with that being said, I think that's also why my MIP would definitely be Jackie. I mean, her stats and her confidence, you can just see it on the court. She is a completely different person. And I really think it came more from going down under, playing in the Australian League and coming back. And I also think it is Becky giving her that confidence because Bill was such an inside guy. And I think Becky spent time with her too because, all of a sudden she's averaging something like 18 points a game. I mean, I feel like you now have to, she was a player you slacked off on. Now you got to pay attention. And I think that's the difference for me on an MIP vote for Sabrina. Everybody knows Sabrina. I think for her, it's just been injuries. And it's that, making that transition because she was injured. She didn't really get that transition to the pros like she should have. So for Jackie, she's been around for a while. And now all of a sudden, explosion. Definitely agree with the rookie of the year. Ryan has been kicking butt. You can't have the 3-point record and not be player of the year. That is for sure. Defensive player of the year. Yeah, I definitely agree, Asia. MVP. Yeah, I kind of do go back and forth on this. Like Asia definitely has that presence and she has a thing. But when I think about what does MVP mean, like I will be the first to admit, if we didn't have Stewie, Storm would not be number 4, right? Like we are where we are because of Stewie. Nobody has been as consistent and at the top of each game like she has. Asia, she could have an off night or slack a little bit, and she had 4 other players to pick her up. Like that team was going to be dominant, whether Asia had amazing numbers or kind of average numbers, because when you have that starting 5, you're going to kick butt every single night. So I think that's the only reason why I would edge Stewie, because to me, when I think of the true most valuable player to a team, that is 100% Stewie. Because I mean, Jules had, like I even think about the 8-7 game. Jules, I think I had 1 point, right? Like she didn't have the consistency, and Sue, averages like 8-9 points. So I think of the Storm, the only reason why they're number 4 is because of Stewie, right? Like otherwise they'd be rest of the average. So I just say when I think of the definition of MVP, it's like what team could not live without this player? Storm cannot live without Stewie. Aces, Would they have been still great without Asia? Yeah, probably. But did Asia bring them over the top? Yes. So, but it's like you still had 4 other great players that would have definitely ran that team for sure. That's the only reason why, even if it wasn't not a Storm fan, I just look at it that way. Rookie, yeah, I definitely agree with all of the rookie. Defensive, I don't know about Jackie. That one's a surprising one to me to see on your list. Why'd you pick Jackie?
Jackie is, when I watch Jackie play, like, she is a force in passing lanes. And I think that she, as far as a perimeter defender goes, I think she's among like one of the best that I watch on a consistent basis. Um her kind of in that last spot. Um I didn't go positions technically, but I still wanted a guard. And I think without I I Jackie Young was the person I just kept coming back to, just sort of making that list. So
See, I would have
who
picked
would you
SDS.
throw in
I would have
there?
picked SDS over that. I would have picked Skylar.
Yeah.
I think she's definitely at the top of the key. She's picking pockets left and right. I definitely would have picked Wilson, Fowles, and Thomas. I probably would have also picked Natasha Cloud
Yeah.
over Atkins. That one could kind of go either way. I feel like, because I think there is a second defensive team, because I'm also hoping Ezzy gets her flowers for her defensive this season. I know she was kind of benched towards the end with Charles, but I mean, for her blocks have been top shot moments for sure. She's got a couple of them now.
I mean, she was gunning for DPOY.
Oh
like,
man,
in May.
I would have loved. I mean, I completely understand why you start Charles over her, but no, I think that I definitely agree. Wilson, Fowles, and Alyssa. I think I would have gone Natasha over Ariel and Skylar over Jackie. And definitely agree at the first. And I know that's kind of also where pretension, or what's the right word? Contention has been on the AP side of things, that Skylar did not get first team.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I feel like who did get it? Was it Parker? I know Sabrina did.
Who
was
was
I'm gonna look at
there?
myself.
Oh man.
Oh, it was Parker, Kelsey, Sabrina, besides Stewart and Wilson. Yeah, I definitely agree with Kelsey. Parker is kind of hard. Like you want her to be there, but I think she was hurt too much of the season for her to still be first.
I had also considered like Meesman for the role. I felt like having just like Vandersloot on this did not do justice to like sort of that season that the Sky had, and sort of what they needed to like sort of justify where they're at. I think when Parker played, I mean, she's only averaging like 13 points a game, but I mean, having triple doubles throughout the season, like really being the cog and the coach on the court, for Chicago. She was one I kept coming back to as well with that. It just felt so hard to like leave her off the list. It felt like that was an incomplete list without her on it somewhere.
Oh yeah, no, I feel like kind of looking at it, like when you're talking about incomplete, I'm like, even Fowles, like I want her to be somewhere on one of these two teams. I mean, how do you lead the league in rebounds and not? I mean, yes, you're going to make it all defensive, but how do you not make an all W team, right? So, but when you got 4 potential first and second teamers on Vegas, they're going to take up those spots. And so like 4, potentially 4 out of 10, you're screwed.
I even feel bad leaving Chelsea Gray off this list. I know that, like,
and I mean, because Donna's answer is, I feel like there's more than 10 this year.
Yeah.
And
Jonquel Jones isn't on this. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So I definitely think you do pick Alyssa over Jonquel. I think Alyssa definitely has had the better season. I mean, I wish Jonquel was back to her MVP, but I think that's more of people were probably paying attention to Jonquel after her MVP season. They're like, oh, now, we got to pay attention. But Alyssa has definitely come back from all of her injuries and with the firestorm. So yeah, it's definitely hard. I mean, and seeing NECA on there, you're like, you can't not see what she's done this season, appreciate it, even though they didn't make the playoffs, right? Like that's probably the one player And even people would argue that Howard's had a all W season too.
Yep.
Not just an all rookie season, but an all W season. So
Seriously.
this one is going I think there's gonna be people pissed off no matter what is finally picked for these 10. Even though it's gone positionless, I feel like there's more than 10 for
Yeah.
top.
I am absolutely with you on this. Like, I think the only takeaway I have from this is that there needs to be an all third team because we can't keep doing this. Like, we're leaving too many good people off the block as we talk about this. Um, Jen, we're approaching the hour. Are you still good to hang for a couple more
I'm okay.
minutes?
Yeah, I'm
Great.
good.
We promised the people this is our regular segment. Because Team Hold is sponsored by Underdog. If you sign up with Underdog, use promo code Hold, you get a deposit match for doing so. And one segment we usually do in the show is I make the over/under picks on here, and those over/under picks are usually wrong, and wrong in the most excruciating way possible. And this is how we live our life. And the
At least you're
person who
honest about it.
usually yeah we're very open with this. The last going on last 3 or 4 of these, we've hit I think 3 or 4 or 5 on we make sort of 5 different picks. I've hit on 4 of them the last like 3 shows in a row, and 2 of them are at the hands of Brittany Sykes, who has like doomed us. So I'm very glad the Sparks are not in the playoffs. So Brittany can't do that to me.
See, I
But
had Brittany on a couple of my fantasy teams. So but I wasn't like in like the champion. I was like, now you do
oh,
good. Now
now
you
of
do
course she does
good.
now. Yeah. But we're gonna start since we have some games tomorrow. We're gonna make a little like over under list on here. So we're just gonna look. Can you see those okay on your
Mhm.
end? All right.
Yep.
So we're just gonna look here, and let's see arch enemy Sykes. I think there was someone who in our like WNBA collectors Discord who like posted a picture of like Brittany Sykes, and I'm like, you mean my mortal enemy at this point? Like, we have oh, I can't even say we have beef because like Brittany Sykes is the coolest person. But like there's definitely feelings there. Um,
I get it.
one thing that looks interesting to me kind of as we start on this is uh Brianna Turner at 6.5 rebounds. Um, the the 14.5 points, rebounds, and assists with Brianna Turner, it's always like dicey for me because Brianna Turner can have a game of like 8 boards and like
Yeah,
3
but she's
assists
up
and
against
0
the
points and have a
aces.
huge impact. I'm gonna hit the over on rebounds.
Really?
That seems pretty strong for me. She's the only. I mean, when Phoenix plays 4 out, like she's the only one around the rim. A lot of
I
the time,
know.
I know
But
this
she's
is
gonna
gonna
be
be the.
battling Asia the entire night. That's why I'm like, I don't know if she's maybe she'll hit 7. Maybe you're right.
I
Maybe she'll hit
think
the 7.
she's crafty, and I think Asia does. I think Asia spends enough time sort of floating, and I think that with Phoenix probably going to be playing a lot of zone for like that
Oh,
series
that's true.
just to survive. I think there's going to be some chance for boards there. Man, 14.5 rebounds and assists for Asia is tempting. Um,
See, I think she can hit the rebound because I saw 9.5 rebounds. I think she can hit the over, but I don't know if she'd have enough assists.
okay, okay.
Like I mean, I think with that game,
Mm-hmm.
she's just gonna post up on the inside, and
Right.
I don't see her coming out too much to have the assists. That would be the only reason why I would say under on the 14.5, but over on the 9.5 rebounds.
And we'll hit the over on that. The thing that like makes me nervous about like even if I was gonna set a DFS lineup, like with Vegas, like I could see them winning like every contest by like 20,
Yep.
and like just having to like rest starters, which the starters that Vegas has. Maybe they can't rest like
Yeah,
their
I
people
mean,
that
the
much.
bench has been a little
Yeah.
dicey this season,
Hmm.
so they're going to need like a 40-point lead to really rest people.
Right. So we'll stick with that. I think that Asia can absolutely hit over 9.5 boards. Um, I think as we look for like Chicago and New York, um, man, I think 10.5 points is a lot for Sloot maybe in this first game.
Mm.
Playoff Sloot is one who is like going to give you like 13 assists and maybe like 7
6 points.
points.
Yeah.
Regular season Sloot as of late has given us some like over 25 kind of point game nights. So like that would make me a little nervous to hit the under, but um, I'm not sure where we're gonna go on here. I think I'm good. I know I need to like play some unders on here because if I go overs, that's just too optimistic for the world that we live in. Um, I
I would
man,
say
you
under. I don't think Natasha is going to get 9 rebounds if that's an under you want. I don't see
that's
her
a
getting 9.
that's a great one. Yeah,
Um,
she only seemed to show up against Atlanta in that fourth quarter,
I
and
mean, you're going up against Mieseman and Parker on the inside.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
if I see Natasha getting 9 rebounds.
And then like Azure coming in as well. Like I think you're right. That's a lot of size to contend with. Um Man, I don't know if Dolson is getting 8.5 points either.
Mm.
I don't want to be a New York hater, but I think that may be where I'm at. All right, let's see. One more. We got over under. What else is grabbing you? Usually the chat is helpful on this. They've gone quiet on me.
Okay.
I think they want to see it just like another just like crash and burn kind of moment on
They
here.
just want you to do it on your own, or me.
Exactly.
One of the two. Be like, is Jen good enough at this? Do we want her back, or is she be like, never again?
Right.
I don't normally bet like this, so I don't know.
That's a good life decision. Yeah.
I mean, I do go to Vegas, but I don't bet on games.
Do
I hit the
you
tables or the slots.
I mean, if we're talking good trading decisions, you're making the good trading decision right now because this has not worked out for anyone so far.
Oh,
Um,
man. I feel like
I
I
like
almost
Brittany
wonder if
1.5.
Emma is going to go like over on that 21.5 points, rebound, assist. Like you're talking about playoffs. I
Yeah.
wonder if Emma goes big. Like I wonder if this is Emma's breakout game and that last one of points, rebounds, and assists. I could see her having a big game.
I absolutely agree. Huge Emma Mieseman fan. And I think you saw it at the Commissioner's Cup game when Chicago was like getting into it, at least being successful like in their half court sets, like Emma Mieseman is the focal point of this. Like she touches the ball, she's a passer, she's a facilitator. She's a huge part in what they do. All right, we're throwing $5 on it. We have a ticket.
Good luck.
We'll see how it goes.
Don't blame me. Don't blame me.
We are not blaming Jen. We're not blaming the guests. We're only blaming Brittany Sykes. That is not true. We're not blaming Brittany Sykes at all. And there we go. Jen, we're over an hour. What else would you want to talk about? Do you want to share? Do you have anything you want to like shout out or plug?
Oh man. Well, again, thank you for having me. Seriously, when
Yeah.
you messaged me, you're like, "Come talk," and I was like, "Okay, I don't have ever done this. This will be interesting for my own self. Hopefully, I did okay."
You did great.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I would just say let's watch the playoffs. I mean, I know that there may or may not be flash challenges. We're not quite sure what's happening on that front,
Yeah.
but I do feel like this is gonna be a very intense and very interesting playoff situation. So I would highly recommend making it a priority. I know that we're still kind of in that in between, so
Yeah.
no excuses. I know on Sunday I think there's some games, but NFL is kind of back, kind of not. But yeah, I would just say let's watch the playoffs. Let's go.
Let's watch some playoffs.
Huh?
I think watching playoffs in the Discord with folks is one of my favorite things. I know that there was a time in our team whole Discord last year when it was a Chicago game and Courtney Vandersloot was just going off with these ridiculous assists. The the fury that people were just like, I could see like the three dots like showing up of like who was typing in the Discord, and the caps lock and the emoji use. Like there was so much excitement just watching games together. Yeah, I absolutely agree.
And I think the only thing I can think of is, I know I need to get better at this, but I will admit I am my own worst enemy when it comes to this, is talking in the team chats of the
Yeah.
Discord on the actual Top Shot thing. Cause I always feel weird of like, but I'm not their fan. Are they going to welcome me if I start talking in this other team's Discord? But I know I need to get better at that. So I know a lot of people have talked about that the team channels in Top Shot's Discord is silent.
Yeah,
I know I need to get better at that. So I'm trying to tell that to myself, and hopefully, and if they kick me out, they kick me out. You know, the true fans kick me out. That's fine. But I think as those games are going, I think that'll be a great place, not just the Talking W or the WCC Discord, but the actual team channels, because I do
yeah,
think that'll get a lot more interest, and people just, we'll see that it's active to an extent. And hopefully Top Shot keeps them. So I think
absolutely.
that's, I always feel weird. I'm like, do they want to listen to me in here? I'm not a fan of, like, like I'm not their fan. Like I have access, but does that mean I'm allowed? I mean, it's always so weird.
If
That's why
they're
I stick to the
crickets,
general
I'm
channel.
sure they're gonna take like anything. So this is a great reminder of just like show up, like be excited about the
Yeah.
WNBA. Like this is what we're here for. And I echo what Snapper says. Killed it. We need more Jen. Jen, you are welcome back. Like, thanks for taking the time out for today.
Thank you.
And everyone else, like, thank you for watching. We'll be back next week. We'll talk more of like first round action of the playoffs. We may have some first round series that have wrapped up. We'll talk more of like what last week's or I guess this week's like base set drop looked like. Jen, did you put in your RSVP ticket
I
for a base
did.
pack?
I don't,
Yeah.
but I wasn't like right when they announced it, so I have no idea if I'm what is happening. I put it in. I mean, but I don't like. I saw it, and I'm like, I don't even know. Then am I allowed to do the general queue? I'm on the allow list too. Like, is this my only? Like, I don't understand. Like, is this the only chance I get at a pack? Like to buy a pack, because you can only buy one, and I'm like, I don't know. I put it in. We'll see what
No
happens. It's
one
not the end of
knows.
the world on this go around. Um,
No one knows at all. I think you're totally right. Yeah.
so
I don't know. Yeah. I
if
put
the
mine
worst
in.
thing is
We'll
I need
see.
to buy all the moments off the marketplace, we'll buy all the all the moments off of marketplace. But I don't know. Yeah, I put it in. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I know I've got the allow list for Wednesday. I don't know then what happens Thursday. So we'll be going after my normal routine of what I go after. We'll see how that shakes out. But
Perfect. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, we'll be excited about it. We'll look for polls, what y'all pulled in the Discord. We'll be back next week on Watch Your Work to talk about it. And Jen, thank you so much again
Thank
for
you.
just all the time. I'm glad you're able to join. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you guys.
Perfect. All right, folks. We are out.